Man, it is pretty tough not to like a 32 Ford Roadster. And I mean, for anyone in North America who's into classic cars or race cars or whatever it is, this is really where it all started. You know, Ford built that big V8, everyone came home after the war, they started earning some money, and the hot rod culture just exploded in Southern California. The obvious candidate, the Model B 32 Roadster. The MO for these guys, because the cars by today's standards didn't have stupid big horsepower, they wanted to make these cars as light as possible. So the Roadster, the Coupe were the obvious cars. Then they took the proverbial blowtorch out and started chopping stuff out. Obviously the Roadster, already at an advantage, it's a little bit more lightweight. Guys were running these things, you know, no hood, no cowl, just the rad and the engine, trying to get these things as light as possible, going out to the beaches, going out to the salt flats, trying to get a big mile an hour out of these cars. The big thing with these cars is it a steel body or is it a fiberglass body? This is a new Brookville steel body car, and the steel body cars, they definitely bring more, because that's what the innovation or all the hype was about in 32 when they built these cars. They went away from the wood beam kind of coach builder style of body that didn't really last that long, you know, wooden body, to a full steel reinforced body. Just the quality on this car is killer. Just standing here, I don't know if I can express it to you. Just top quality paint job on the car, beautiful chrome. I mean, not many cars probably looked like this back in the hot rod days of the 40s and the 50s. But these cars have such an appreciation nowadays that it warrants doing a build to this quality. The thing that's probably different about these cars than almost any other collector car is that these things became significant because they were hot rods. These were the initial hot rods. It's not a standard question like if you're gonna go look at a Corvette or something like that, is it the original engine? Is it the original, you know, whatever? They were meant to be hot rods. They're desirable because they're hot rods. So a lot of guys, yeah, they ran the original V8s until they blew them up or whatever, you know, or they hot rodded V8s. But with these 32 Roadsters, and you know, I'm sure there's purist guys out there, and I'm sure there's different schools on this, but it doesn't necessarily, in my mind, matter so much what engine's in it. So this 32 Roadster, yeah, it's a Ford, but it's got a Chevy small block in it. And a lot of the guys over the years, that's what they did. Their MO was to go fast. They didn't care if it had a Ford engine in it. They didn't care what was on it, what was taken off of it. They wanted to go fast. So let's pop the hood here. Going with the color scheme, a red small block Chevy, Edelbrock intakes, 3 2-barrel Rochester carbs on there, making good power for how lightweight these cars are. So when you're building a 32 Ford these days, you've got to have the look. Coker Classic tires on here, on the kidney bean wheels. You've got to have the knockoffs. 4-wheel fin drum brakes, chromes up front. Beautiful look to these things. So, you know, the 32s, the Coupe or the Roadster, the Coupes look good, but in my mind, the toughest, cleanest, most iconic look is the Roadster. We got to pull this top off for you guys. There we go. I think that's a little bit better. I'll show you guys the interior here. I don't think they missed at all with the interior on this car. You know, the 3-spoke wheel. It's got the machine-turned cluster housing here with 5 Autometer gauges. Everything's modern, but it certainly looks the part. Big Lokar shifter here. The thing absolutely looks the part, feels great. Of course, it's got the Ford V8 on the head of it. The interior on this car is just perfect. These cars are such individual cars. Everyone who builds one of these things does it a little bit different. You know, they truly are hot rods. So when you have one of these come into the showroom, you really get to look at it and see how each individual one was built. This car's got the 3-speed automatic transmission, making it a breeze to drive. Driving these cars is a real neat experience. It's not like driving a modern day car with great brakes and great soft suspension. These things were hot rods, and they were designed, you know, around 90 years ago. So driving this thing is quite the experience, but with a good engine in it, these things really get up and go. And if you're tall enough, not quite for me, but you can see the front tires. Short of driving a Formula car, you're not gonna get that anywhere else. And if you're really wheeling one of these things, you better hold on. You're really on a bench, just kind of sitting with your feet on the floor. You know, the seat's half a foot above the floor of the car. So you're really just kind of sitting in this little cockpit. It is a unique experience driving one of these cars. Everyone does these cars to a different quality. The quality on this car is just killer. I mean, you have a look underneath. Everything is either chromed or powder coated, you know, and it's got such a good stance. It's got that lowered front axle, hot rod stance. What's neat about the 32s, they changed in 33, is that the frame was designed as a part of the styling of the car. Tough to tell because the paint job is so good on this thing, but you can see the frame rail coming all the way back here under the body, really keeping in the forefront of your mind that this thing is a hot rod. So now we've got to ask ourselves, do you need a car like this? No. No one needs a 32 Ford Roadster, especially in 2021. But do you want a car like this? Well, if you consider yourself a hot rodder or simply like cruising, oh yeah, you want a car like this.